It's the next day currently. I am going through all of the images from yesterday's shoot at the bowling alley and at the brewery, and I am first culling through them all. Typically, I do this the night of the session, but since there were so many pictures from multiple locations, I said I'm just gonna save it for tomorrow when I'm fresh. I wrapped up culling. It usually goes pretty quickly, especially with tools like Photo Mechanic, which make it fast. I tried at one point using AI for photo culling, and it just didn't work well for me. I came out with 255 photos for one session, which is way too many pictures, way overkill. I generally do delete some of the images when I'm going through, once again, editing every single image, but I figured it'd be kind of a high amount of photos for the session. I kind of intended it to be that way since we were trying some stuff that we don't typically do. So what I'm gonna do, instead of bringing you along for every single image edit here, we're gonna bring you along as I work through the sneak peeks for this session, and we're gonna edit them up. So first thing I always do personally, I'm kind of already thinking I'm not gonna use the bowling pictures to lead off on the session. It just doesn't really fit the vibe of our feed and what we typically do, so I'm not gonna get too worried about those yet. Those will be more of a cool piece for the clients and a cool blog post, but just for kicks and gigs, let's try. I'm probably gonna delete a lot of these. I got my Forte presets over here, kind of just a variety of tones and whatnot. So that's not bad. I mean, if we're looking at this already, I love using this, by the way, the auto angle adjuster. It doesn't work every time, but it works pretty dang well. So those colors already look pretty good. It's kind of a clean look. What I also am gonna do is go through, you can see on my screen here how much grain is in this image. Lightroom now has an AI grain denoiser that works fantastically. So once I'm done with all these pictures, I'm gonna go back through. The other thing to note too, I make new catalogs for every single session, every single wedding. It's just a little bit cleaner. I put them into a master catalog first, and then I go through and I make them their own unique catalog. So straighten that out. I really like this picture. Let's see. I generally use the same preset for the whole session. This one has a ton of variety, so I might play around with a couple different things, but I think this is the one I used before, and that looks pretty good. A lot, since I've fine-tuned my presets, a lot of what I'm doing is more around white balance and highlights and shadows, and just kind of seeing where those are at. You know, the skin tones look a little bit pink for this preset, so I might get into the colors later, but a lot of times that can be fixed in white balance before you have to get too crazy with it. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. This is pretty. This is we had the sun back in here. Yeah, it looks pretty dang good to me. A little bit washed out, just a smidge. I'm gonna bring the reds towards orange a little bit. I'm gonna bring the exposure down a little bit. That's looking pretty good. Bring the whites down a smidge, just because those skin tones are looking a little bit red to me still. I don't wanna like overpower the image with yellow. I'm gonna crush the highlights all the way. And something I like to do too is use the plus and minus keys just to go in intervals of 5 of anything. You can click on the thing and make adjustments that way. So there we have the before and the after of that image. It's just kind of warm spring tones. I'm a fan. Something I'm noticing in this image is the skin tones are a little bit washed out. One way to combat that, if they're too bright, is using the luminance, bringing it down. A lot of times people pop the living daylights out of them. I find over and over again, the more I shoot, less is more in the editing. The whole shot happens before you take the picture. That's where a lot of this stuff happens, and then the edit's just kind of a nice touch. I'm still not loving it. The hands here, they're a little bit still too pink. So I'm gonna come in and remove, I have some brushes, oops, that's too much. I have some brushes that remove that redness. I'm just gonna make that a little bit less, or a little bit more mild. Get rid of the exposure. And I'm gonna do the same over here. Get the same on the ear. The one spot right here. You can get super nitty gritty with this and spend all day on it. I tend to do that more when I go through the session in its entirety, but I really like that one. So what I do is I mark them 5-star and green, and then I do a number of photos. So now I have kind of my base edit here. And the best thing about Lightroom is you can sync the settings. I'm gonna sync everything except for crop, healing, masking, lens corrections, Synchronize. Yeah, so maybe I'll like one of these more. Like, I'm really digging this. This one I like a lot. Just kind of jumped off the page at me. This one's even better maybe. I just gotta work the contrast in a little bit on that. So we're gonna get our little brush out again. Red skin remove. I have another video on the brushes too, so go check that out if you're wondering what the heck this brush I'm using is. So much of this stuff is just kind of jimmy rigging it. Now, since I had a little bit more sun in here, I'm gonna need a little bit more contrast, so I'm gonna start by bringing the blacks down. Generally, if I bring the blacks down, I will bring the shadows up just to make things a little bit easier to take in. Before and after. I'm taking into account as well like what I did on the last session, so I can make our feed look decent. That one's pretty good though. They're both so good. I'm stumped. So basically for the next 3 hours, I'm gonna be sitting here trying to figure out which picture to do. And then eventually I'll decide and forget about it. That's pretty cool. I even kind of like just these smile look at the camera ones, but I think this screams cool. Bring the whites down a smidge. Let's get a little brush. I'm learning how to use the adaptive presets more as well, but sometimes I just want to target the face or the arm or something, and I don't think it can do that yet. You can target your beard. I don't need to target a beard. All right, so maybe one more touch of exposure. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm gonna add this, copy the settings exactly. And it's good too to mark your photos done with flags or star ratings, because then you know what to work off of later down the road. Right here we got the same issue with the skin color that's not accurate. Boom, boom, boom. Bring a little bit of contrast back in. I like that. It looks cool. Sweet. This light was just perfectly filtered here. One more touch of exposure. We already marked that one. We're back in the bowling alley here. I'm gonna try a couple things. That's kind of cool. This was a last minute shot decision. So as you can see over here, I have this shirt. So I like this to be centered. We're just gonna go boom. Now that's out. A little bit of cropping can get you a long ways. And then I'm going to probably pair that with another one. So let's try this, F6. That needs to be white balanced. Ooh. We got some crazy different skin colors going on that aren't natural. That's part of why we try to shoot at the times we try to shoot. That's why we shoot in good light rather than just any light. It controls stuff like that and makes for a better image. So thankfully I can jimmy rig it and make it look a little bit better with a brush. But I'm gonna 5-star that, probably pair it with one of the other pictures. So that's kind of that. I'm probably gonna focus heavily on, geez, I kind of like these though. I have to lead off with it though. I have to. All right, let's see what we can do here. All right, paint the skin, make everything look healthy. I'm gonna come into HSL tab, bring the luminance down on the orange. Skin tones typically register as orange or red. There's a lot of presets that have magenta and purple completely desaturated to get rid of any fringing, which can be great, but sometimes parts of the skin register as that and it can really leave you with a big issue. Get rid of some red maybe. Just make it as clean as possible. That's a lovely photo, I think. So maybe I'll get to pair all of this. I might get one more image in here. All right, so here brings us to the last section. Now, something I want to point out is before I had them framed in this little box here that you're looking at, that made the light kind of tough. Let's click on one of these. As you can see on the top of their heads, they're getting hit with light. The sun was setting back here, or the highlights are all highlighted here. I stepped them out to the side of that, and that resulted in much better light. So there's just different things that you start seeing in different color castings and stuff. Sticking with that same preset that we were using before, F6. I don't know if this will be anything crazy, but this is the final stop and final little piece that we're gonna get through here. Lots of red skin, probably reflecting a little bit off of the building. Easy to clean up right there. But that's why light is so important. The better the light, the cleaner the edit. That's cool. I don't know if I'll use it for anything. Let's try adding that one over here, or try that. Oh, that looks good. You can kind of see the light coming in here. That also adds a little bit of dimension. Obviously, really bad redness in the skin. For some reason, it's usually way worse in guys than it is in girls. All time of year, it's something that we deal with. I'm probably gonna double this one up, so I'll 5/8 it. All right, let's just see then what we have so far. Attribute. I need another bowling picture. I like that enough. I'm gonna keep that in. All right, so we got a little bit from every session in here. These look way too similar, so I'm probably gonna get rid of one of those. Probably lead off with this one. Cool. So then we're just gonna export these out. We're sitting at about 25 minutes so far. So as you can see, it gets quite time consuming. I use JPEG Mini. I started doing that like a year ago. Seems to work pretty well. So you can still get the full size. Export it, and since I'm not a Mac user, I Dropbox everything over to my phone, post it up, and we're set to go. So that just about does it. That's kind of the process we go through after a session editing sneak peeks. We continue that session for the rest of the 255 images for this session and deliver it as quickly as we can. Thanks so much for watching this video. We're excited to do another video from this session because it was so unique. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We appreciate it so much, and we'll see you on the next video.